InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcasts. In today's podcast, we're going to be looking at a few short public and private company announcements, looking at virtual investor conferences as well as KCSA strategic communications. Also looking at TRSSF Corporation trading on the CSE as TER and the OTCQX as TRSSF, as well as Sundial Growers Incorporated trading on the NASDAQ as SNDL and OGDNA Genetics. So first looking at virtual investor conferences as well as KCSA Strategic Communications, who announced that the presentations from last week's Cannabis Industry Virtual Investor Conference are now available for on-demand viewing at virtualinvestorconferences.com. You can log in at a link attached in the article, or you can also just go check out virtualinvestorconferences.com. But all presentations will be available for 24/7 on-demand replay for 90 days. And investors, advisors, and analysts may also download shareholder materials from the virtual trade booth for the next 3 weeks. A lot of different companies participated. Some of the ones I definitely recommend checking out as far as sort of the information they provided would be Aleafia Health, Marimed, as well as the Valens Company. And then there was also some interesting information from Toriga Sciences. But lots of different companies that were involved. And if you missed it last week, I would highly recommend checking out the link attached in the article, or again, going to visit virtualinvestorconferences.com. Next, looking at TRSSF Corporation, who announced it's completed the second phase of construction at its cultivation and manufacturing facility located in Boonton, New Jersey. And this phase of construction added approximately 80,000 square feet of indoor cultivation to the existing on-site greenhouse and post-harvest manufacturing facilities, bringing the Boonton facility's total current footprint to approximately 140,000 square feet. And TerraSend has the ability to further increase the Boontown facility to 240,000 square feet. Now, TerraSend recently received approval from the New Jersey Department of Health to commence cultivation activities within the new indoor facility, and it expects to complete its first indoor harvest in the first quarter of 2021. The New Jersey cannabis market represents a substantial growth opportunity for TerraSend. With the completion of this expansion, we have a significantly scaled-up cultivation footprint to meet the current demand, said Jason Akerman, the executive chairman of TerraSend. And I'd like to thank our team with their efforts in completing this project and look forward to increasing the availability of our quality medical products to patients across the state. Now, in August of 2020, the company announced that its approximately 40,000 square foot greenhouse co-located in Boonton facility was approved by the NJDOH to begin cultivating cannabis, and concurrently, TerraSend commenced initial planting of the greenhouse, with several harvests completing during the fourth quarter of 2020. Now, in December of 2018, TerraSend New Jersey was awarded a license to apply for one of 6 vertically integrated permits. And the company's application received the second highest score of 146 submissions received by the state, and after securing additional processing and dispensing approvals, a full permit allows TerraSend to operate a production facility and up to 3 alternate treatment centers, or dispensaries, in the north region of New Jersey. And the first Apothecarium-branded ATC opened in Phillipsburg, New Jersey in the fourth quarter of 2020, which will be followed by 2 additional ATCs in the first half of 2021. Obviously, TerraSend making pretty substantial moves in the New Jersey cannabis market now. Again, you're still having this as a very limited license market, so the companies that are within that space are going to see pretty full-on sales. And if they can get their production and sort of everything in line quick enough, it's going to be a great market to be involved in. And I would expect that you'll start to see other competitors within the New Jersey space, but for right now, TerraSend does definitely seem to be sort of ahead of the curve with regards to that. Next, looking at Sundial Growers Incorporated, who announced it's launched a high-quality cannabis derivative products under the Top Leaf brand in response to rising consumer demands for solventless cannabis extracts. Now, this most recent launch is consistent with Sundial's focus on premium inhalables, following branded retail offerings of flower, pre-roll, and vape cartridges. We made a strategic decision to produce these premium products based on the demand for solventless, flavorful, pure, and potent cannabis concentrates for a growing group of consumers, said Andrew Stroder, President and Chief Operating Officer of Sundial. Our control of the entire manufacturing process from cultivation to extraction enables us to deliver premium quality products at a consistent basis, and adding bubble hash and other advanced concentrates to our product portfolio will expand Sundial's share of this rapidly expanding market segment. Now, Sundial has launched a bubble hash product under its Top Leaf brand, and will launch other products such as the pressed hash and live rosin with capabilities to expand further product offerings through different Sundial brands in the coming quarters. Now, solventless concentrates from Top Leaf brands are available for purchase in BC and Alberta, with plans to available across the country in the coming months, and the Top Leaf brand currently offers Pink Kush and Bubba in the bubble hash formats. Now, all Top Leaf concentrate products are produced from high-quality single-strain fresh frozen flower that is produced to preserve its terpene and cannabinoid profile, and there are no additives, no filters, and no artificial flavors added to the products. Now, Sundial plans on providing additional offerings in the first quarter of 2021, including Top Leaf Oregon Gold Goat Bubble Hash and Grassland Sativa and Indica Hash. So I've talked about this a couple times over the last few weeks, but the move towards solventless extracts is getting a little bit more and more prominent within the concentrate space, and I do think for the companies that are adapting to this and creating products and bringing them to market fast enough, that's going to be the move. Moving away from sort of the BHO extraction, even your closed-loop extraction systems is kind of what's becoming more of a necessity within this industry. There's still always going to be a decent market, I do think, for obviously the solvent-based extracts. But I do think in general, especially when you're looking at sort of the price points that are available within the retail market in Canada right now, in order for any of these legal companies to be competing properly with the illicit companies, they need to be producing really, really high-grade product because of the price points they have to sell it at. So because of that, you're seeing a move towards this solventless extracts, where at least then the perceived consumer value is a little bit more noticeable than it is with some of the shatter and waxes and butters that are out there. Just because, again, if you're looking at the illicit market competition, the price points for your shatter, your waxes, and your butters that maybe aren't going to be the highest of grade, but they are going to be made from solvent extraction, are way cheaper than what anyone in the retail sort of recreational market can really compete with. So I do think that this is sort of the move to create and sort of bolster the premium cannabis extract segment within the recreational market, and also, again, to actually be able to compete properly against illicit companies without having to sort of reduce the sort of perceived consumer value. Lastly, today, looking at OG Genetics, a globally recognized leading cannabis brand, who announced a partnership agreement with Maris Dometic Incorporated, a leading cannabis micropropagation and tissue culture provider in California. Now, this agreement will allow DNA Genetics the ability to provide licensees in clean cultivars and genetically identical starter plants for cultivation with the help of Marismatic's Clean Cultivar Program. Now, Marismatic's Clean Cultivar Program uses proprietary tissue culture to rejuvenate mother plants while simultaneously filtering out diseases and pests. And all new mother stock is thoroughly analyzed using sensitive molecular techniques to verify that disease-causing organisms are no longer detectable. Now, growers can then use the rejuvenated mother stock to improve in-house clone propagation, and this program also allows cultivars to enjoy some of the benefits of tissue culture without building a lab or hiring expensive staff to manage a tissue culture program. DNA is proud to partner with Maris Dometic to build on its position at the forefront of cannabis innovation in the industry matures. The benefits of tissue culture and genetic marker indications for a cannabis genetics company cannot be overstated, said Don Morris, the co-founder and chief cannabis officer of DNA Genetics. It allows us to provide clean genetics and general propagation services at a commercial scale to all of the cultivation partners across the globe, in addition to providing a better understanding of the biological and endocannabinoid makeup of all our cultivars. Now, since its inception, the genetics developed by DNA has won more than 200 awards in all categories and at the most prestigious cannabis events around the world, making DNA the global standard in breeding and growing truly best-in-class strains. And these awards include the High Times Top 10 Strain of the Year, which was inducted into the High Times Seed Bank Hall of Fame in 2009, and the High Times Most Influential People in the Industry, and the High Times Trailblazer Award for contributions made towards uniting the fields of entrepreneurship, politics, and medicine. So, if you've paid attention to OG DNA Genetics, who I've talked about before, and they are a pretty recognized brand within this industry, providing a lot of the genetics for a lot of the production fields that are going out there. This is sort of a likely next step for them, partnering with Maris Dometic. Obviously, having access to these sort of starter plant tissue cultures is going to be a huge advantage for them to sort of maintain consistency over their strains and their genetics, to avoid pests, to avoid having to use any of these pesticides, which obviously start hindering the product over time. And this sort of goes back to what I was talking about with another company a little while ago, which is sort of the genetic manipulation of cannabis plants, which is becoming more and more of the standard within the industry. It is interesting to think about when you consider, again, the massive pushback you've had from genetic manipulation within the actual food industry, whereas within the cannabis industry, it's almost a necessity at this point. And it is interesting to see the methodology that's going into this and how it is being used to sort of create better products for both the medical as well as recreational markets. Again, I'm not sure in time if you will see people still wanting to have genetically manipulated cannabis plants, or if you will have a push towards more natural and organic products. Again, that kind of leads to the Green Organic Dutchman Company really focusing on their natural genetics, but even their plants have had some genetic manipulation over time. So I do think that there will kind of be a cross balance within this industry, but I do think for a company like DNA Genetics, having access with Maris Dometic is only going to be a huge boost for them, and I would expect you to see that they'll probably receive some more awards within the next year based off of their next generation genetics and programs that they're going to be launching. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.